snacks.
What it do, snackers and snackettes? It's your boy Gage. That's Jokes.
Yo.
That's Sin.
Yes, sir.
And this is Cutscenes, which is
The best part of the game.
And that's the truth.
Facts.
The hard, cold truth. So today we're going to be discussing, as per the new norm, a little bit of Xbox, a little bit of Nintendo, a little bit of PlayStation, some overall. We'll talk a little bit about the DICE Awards, which, you know, we're not going to go super deep into the DICE Awards, but we are going to touch on it a little bit, specifically Game of the Year. So, before I do that, what's everybody playing?
Overwatch, Apex, and Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet.
Sword Art Online.
GTA. Those are like my four right now.
Those are the main joint to joints.
Yeah.
My guy.
Dig it. Main one for me right now is Overwatch. I'm back on Fire Emblem. I downloaded the
DLC.
The DLC.
Okay.
It's cool, but it has me upset at certain points. But
Ooh, okay.
nothing spoilers. It's just the way that the game saves work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you picking up from your last save that you beat it with?
Doesn't make a difference. The DLC is its own standalone things that it does not matter. Your levels don't come over.
Oh, you're
starting at level 20.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
You will be able to, apparently when you complete the DLC, certain things will be able to go over to the main game. A new addition to the monastery that you can now go around and travel. But yeah, so if you thought you were going to take your super powered up people, go through it and just dog walk.
Okay. Got it. Good to know. Thank you.
What else you playing? That's it?
Those are the main two. What else did I download?
Yeah, we've been running Overwatch together.
Yeah, Overwatch is really, we've been doing some Overwatch.
Bodying dudes out there.
Okay.
Feeling
I
good.
dig it. That's what's up. I'm not gonna do that. But
Fair enough.
I mean, have fun. I'll wait for Overwatch 2, whatever that is actually gonna be. Whatever that is.
Yeah, and I've never watched like any like the shorts about the characters and everything. Like now I want to go back and like watch
it.
And get to know them.
No, I do all that.
Yeah.
I'm all in for the storyline.
Okay.
But the game weak. And I'm gonna leave it at that. John weak. We say that for an unpopular opinion. But you've been playing specifically because
I've been gearing up. Like, made sure I fully understood and got back into it. But I've been supporting our team. Like, I went to the first watch party for their first match. Sadly, they lost the first match, but they won the second match.
Okay.
And they dog walked the team in the second match.
Sweet.
And that's what's up.
So
Washington.
I'm loving our team, Justice. I mean, this is just knowing we have an actual like E-League team here in the DMV is pretty cool.
So somewhere between having an Overwatch League team and having an XFL team, you don't know to do it yourself.
Dog, it's bad. Here's the issue. They're both on the same days, the same. It's like we gotta make a decision.
Yeah, you do.
But I chose Overwatch.
You did.
I chose Overwatch.
Welcome to Cutscenes.
Hey, gaming.
Part of the game. Straight up. Hey, listen, I've been playing this. Clearly, I've been playing GTA. Had to get these diamonds. They dropped them diamonds.
Oh, I saw y'all do the diamond work.
Hey, walked it on what, hard?
On elite difficulty.
Two-manned it.
Two-manned it.
Certified. Just
Blew our way into the vault.
Certified.
Hey, listen. Put my man on to that shotgun.
I'm about to be a part of that shotgun life.
Man was like, I'm gonna start using shotguns.
But that's the upgrade. That's that Mark II.
Hey, listen. Nah.
Oh, that was
Nah, because those are the joints
they gave us.
You don't have your own joints. Yeah. That was just the pump. That was the pumpity pump. Yeah.
All those MP5 was rocking in that joint.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we got them diamonds out of there. I've been playing this Indivisible, which I'm really digging. It's kind of like it's a platformer RPG. It's pretty cool. I dig it. I'm liking it so far. A couple other little things that I jumped into, but you know, nothing worth talking about at the moment. Let's get into some of these categories. Where we want to start?
I mean, I can start first since Nintendo, honestly, this week didn't really have too much to go off of other than, you guys were thinking about getting a Switch Lite. I mean, maybe the new color they just introduced, we got to call Coral.
Coral.
It's like a pinkish color, but
It's coral. That's what color it is. It's coral.
Like nothing
salmon colored.
Salmon colored. I feel like someone probably threw that name out there. It was like, no, you leave the room. That is not.
They're not the same color. Coral and salmon are not the same.
But yeah. So just we know it's sometime in April. It's going to release here in the States. In March they'll get it, of course, over in Japan already. But other than that, that's really been their big thing. No, we still don't have a Nintendo specific direct yet. I'm sure. At this point now, we're just on the E3 downslope. Just wait until we get closer to E3. Probably before we get some major news.
Yeah.
Other than that, that's really all Nintendo really had this week.
That's what's up. Let's talk about Xbox because we got some heavy PlayStation stuff to talk about, and so, here's the thing. Game Pass, which is definitely a thing.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Still the best deal in gaming.
Mm-hmm.
So, Yakuza 0.
Mm-hmm.
Finally hitting on an Xbox.
I wish it was one that was hitting first, but I'm cool.
I mean,
I think that's the one that people should start with. Not start with 0. They should start with 1.
I'm sure they're releasing in actual numerical order, but
probably yeah.
Just the fact alone that they're not only finally going to be on an Xbox console, but they will come into Game Pass first is an amazing thing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm very excited.
You know, the idea that anybody who has been thinking about it or wanting to jump into it, anybody who wasn't sure about it, the fact that if you have Game Pass, you could just jump in and try it out for free, see if you like it, and then when the next one comes and the next one comes, and you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of an incredible thing, and I don't know of anywhere else where you can do that. You know what I'm saying?
Nope.
Not only that, but Kingdom Hearts 3 now moves into Game Pass. And that is right on the heels of having finally the rest of Kingdom Hearts story finally make its way to Xbox. And so even though people had to wait and they didn't get it before Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, now if you want to experience the entire story for Kingdom Hearts on that console, you can.
Yep.
And that's kind of a big deal. It is probably setting a precedence and a cadence for what we should expect to see going into these new consoles with all the trips that Phil Spencer is making to Japan and all that kind of stuff. It just shows that he is going and making those deals and really talking to people, and I think people are really starting to see the value of the way that Microsoft treats their developers and people that work with them, you know, and I'm sure they have to make some concessions that are different from maybe what PlayStation has to make because under those circumstances, you're dealing with two companies that are Japanese versus dealing with somebody from outside of, you know, Japan. But I appreciate that those things are happening. And I just think I think it's cool. I think it's a big deal. It's probably a bigger deal than most people think
about. Yeah.
And if it pans out, I believe that if these companies, you know, Vanquish, anniversary joint just dropped, Bayonetta, those are Sega joints, Yakuza, Sega joint, you know what I mean? So I believe that these companies will see numbers, and when they see numbers, it's just going to give them cause to keep
hey guys, there's some more for you. Go ahead and throw it on in there.
Yeah, so I think it's a big deal. But that's mostly it on the Xbox front.
I know we said we got a lot of things to talk about with PlayStation. One thing I definitely wanted to bring to the table this week that saw at work today, it was the fact that PlayStation just announced that it's pulling out of PAX East, and which is pretty much getting ready to happen right now. And their reasoning for that is because of the coronavirus. They just don't want their people or anybody getting sick, I guess, and that's the excuse that they're giving that I'm not really buying. What y'all think?
So, I'm kind of on the page with you and kind of think. Now don't get me wrong. I'm sure Sony was probably going to be bringing in developers or whatever from all across the world or whatnot ever, and maybe because of that they don't want to risk anything because of the coronavirus. But I still feel like this is kind of the cop out. But it's just like it's just so last minute. Like to make that decision now. Granted, we have PlayStation in the U.S. We have PlayStation across seas. Like I feel like there should be enough here in the States that we could bring the PAX and show off. But I guess
For me, it's their past history they've had recently with canceling all this other stuff. We're not coming to E3 last year. We're not coming this year. They're canceling PSX. Just the continuing things that we've seen happen. It just makes me like believe like just
it just keeps adding on. It's like
I think it's a great cover, but I think they're probably looking for reasons to back out. Anyway,
I mean the timing is right. I mean if the timing is definitely right. Like it gave them the chance to say, "Are we not coming?" Because you know whatever. I don't know if I completely believe that. I mean I just think that right now, man, Sony is in need of a lot of goodwill. And I think that making the announcement, we're gonna be there. We're bringing Last of Us 2. It's gonna be the first time the public's gonna get to play it. Blah blah blah. Like you're bringing all this stuff, and all of these people are amped and excited. And you've just given yourself all this goodwill, right? Because you're on the heels of having said, yeah, we're not coming to E3, but we're going to hundreds of gaming shows and whatever throughout the year to bring stuff to the people and whatever. But E3 is not worth it for us, or you know what I mean, whatever it is. I think that when you know that your community is kind of like, what are you doing? What's going on? And then you put something out. Like literally, it was like February 13th. They announced, hey, we're gonna be at PAX East. We're doing all of this. Boom, 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 boom. Right? And literally, like 6 days later, they were like, yeah, we're not going. And that just, you know what I mean? Like that just seems to me the kind of thing that like you. Let's just say for some reason it was something as simple as like Last of Us isn't ready.
Okay.
Right? I think it's much easier to say, you know what, guys? We're coming. But Last of Us isn't going to be there. We have to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just think
pull it back, do some tweaks.
There's something else that's going on, right? Like, I just think that with all of the stuff that they announced that was going to be there, that was coming, their ability to have a presence, like to shut all of it down, just be like, yeah, we're not coming at all. We won't have a presence at all. Like you have all these indie developers that are like counting on being there in your space. What you're like, we not, nah. I feel like I want to give them the benefit of the doubt on this one.
I agree. I do too.
It's because of that. It's because of those things. Because to me, like at this point, you make an announcement that you're not coming and you're 2 days out.
Yeah.
That to me is like, okay, well the money is spent. You know what I mean? It's not like you're saving it. Like, you know, saying you're not going to E3 is very much E3 costs millions upon millions of dollars, and it doesn't make sense for us to go
just keep that money in the bank.
We can reach our people so many other ways, right? We sat down and did an interview with Wired, which I guarantee you didn't cost them anything. Wired, if nothing else, probably paid them to be the first ones to get the exclusive drop on. This is what the PS5 can do and can't do or whatever. And everybody picked it up and everybody talked about it, and there's nobody who's a major fan of them who doesn't know, right? So they can reach the audience if they want to. E3 is not a place where they have to do it. So now you want to try to bridge that gap and really be able to do something and talk to the community, because E3 is not usually a place where you really can do that. You know what I mean? Like E3 has always really been more about having a media, having media and people like that. Yes, they are letting the community in now, and they've been doing that for 2 or 3 years or whatever now, right? Still, it's nowhere near as well run or well oiled machine or whatever as a PAX, and it's way more expensive. It's not Gamescom, you know what I mean, which has hundreds of thousands of people every year by comparison to what E3 is. So, to me, to back out of something like this, you probably have to know hurts you more. You understand what I'm saying? Then,
all right, let me ask you this: do you think one of the reasons for them backing out is because of development issues that they're having with the PS5, and they wanted to avoid having those conversations while being at PAX?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't. I mean, look, Sony's been around for a long time, not just as a gaming company with PlayStation, but as a company.
Right.
They have PR is not new for them. You know what I mean? Sitting down in front of somebody, having people from the media or whatever ask them about A, B, and C. You know what I mean? Like, you know how to direct or go, yeah, you want to talk to so-and-so about that, or, hey, I don't really have a comment on that, I'm here to show this game. You know what I mean? Or whatever it is. Like, I don't really think that that's the kind of thing that would come up as much at a community event the way PAX is.
Okay.
So, I don't think that's what it is.
Okay.
And now, could it be that they need to save the money so that they can make sure they can secure parts for the PlayStation. I mean, again, that's something we can get into in a little bit, but again, I feel like the money's spent.
I was like, at this point now, just like you said, like you had to buy that space and all that, and you probably had like 6 days beforehand. You were like, oh, we're gonna have all this stuff there, so I'm sure you had crews and stuff that hotels were paid for, flights were paid for.
And again, I'm sure you can cancel hotel reservations
certain things, right?
Enough days out. You probably got 72 hours or whatever to cancel certain things. I imagine that PAX, that money is gone. Like they probably just can't. You know what I'm saying? But like, who knows? I just feel like this one, to me, for the most part, Sony has gotten out in front. Like, think about how far out E3 is. And they've already announced they're not going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And took it upon themselves to say, but we're going to be at a bunch of other stuff. To me, this very last minute decision, like, there would have to be so much more going on than just like, oh, we can't show Ghost of Tsushima, or we can't show, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
There would have to be more to it than that. I would think that it would make more sense for them to just say, yeah, unfortunately, such and such game isn't going to be there, or this developer isn't coming because of issues with the coronavirus or something like that, as opposed to just being like, yeah, no,
we're just bowing out completely.
Yeah, it just don't seem to me like
we're scaling our thing down because people can't get in. We're going to be there, but we're just pulling some things
that
back.
just doesn't seem. I don't know. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt on this one. Now, why they would do it and nobody else is doing it, I don't know. But I don't know that anybody else plans to have the exact same kind of presence there. You know what I mean, or whatever. Like, it's just, it's hard to say. I think it's bad. I think it's a bad look to have just said we'll be there with all this stuff and then turn around and be like, we're not going to be there.
Coming. Yeah.
Right? But then you also, it's a coronavirus. How can you really
be mad at them about it? You know what I mean?
So even if it is a thing where it's like, yeah, it's not really the coronavirus. But what can you say?
What can you do?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You just call them sissies or something? You sissies. Come to Boston. You know what I mean? Come to Boston. Come to Boston. Have our tea. Our tea's not tainted.
Come have a lobster roll.
Yeah. Chowder.
The chowder.
Come have a chowder. Sorry if you live in Boston.
I was about to say,
terrible. You know what I mean? That's
we
just,
tried.
It was bad. Let's talk. Let's take a break and come back and talk a little bit more about what else is happening with Sony.
Okay, let's do that.
Loading snacks. Alright. We back live and direct, y'all. Sony.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Sony and Bloomberg. Now, do I need to pull up the article? Should I dig into some?
Probably.
Should I dig into the crates a little bit?
This is your bag.
Oh, man. It is.
Poking.
It is.
He's about to have fun, yeah.
While I acting like that.
Because it's what you do.
It is. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. You telling the truth.
Yeah.
So basically, just while I'm doing this digging, so Bloomberg put out an article last week, discussing how sources are telling them that Sony is having a hard time deciding where to price the PlayStation 5, and that it's coming from the issue with costly parts, with parts costing more than expected, and that they're waiting for Microsoft to make the first move and announce their pricing first, which is more or less to decide whether or not it's worth it for them to price it low enough that they take a hit on it.
Right.
Which is typical of hardware sales for video games. Usually, with Nintendo as the exception, most video game hardware manufacturers take a loss on the sale of the console because they make that back up in accessories and in game software. And so, for them, it's a big deal to be able to be like, yep, the system costs this and we're losing money here, but we make money on the controller, so buy an extra controller and buy a couple games with it when you get the system or whatever. Now, having said that, this landscape is very different because the way that backwards compatibility and games as a service exist in this time period changes what it means if you could go and buy a console day one this year when they release and have a huge library of stuff to already play, and there really isn't necessarily a need for you to buy a game day one. Right? Unless it's an exclusive title that you feel like you have to have, right? But it lowers the barrier. It means that there's a possibility that many people don't jump and buy a new one right away because old games, still work with their libraries, whatever, and they're not necessarily the people who want to have the highest fidelity system or whatever right away. Or they want to wait for the price to drop, whatever. But it also means that where traditionally you might see people buy a console, an extra controller, and maybe 2 games or 3 games, now you might see them buy a console, not buy a controller at all, because at least with Xbox, the old controllers work. Right? So you're getting a controller in the box, which is new, and all the old controllers work. So if you already have an Xbox, you don't need to buy another controller. If you already, you know what I mean? Because you have controllers that work. And you have Game Pass, and you have a bunch of other games that already work that are, as far as we can tell, going to look better when they play. And I would assume that to some extent, the same thing is going to be true with PlayStation 5.
Right.
So it changed the landscape in terms of being able to easily capitalize on the fact that when somebody buys a new console, they're going to spend X amount of dollars and they're going to make some of that money back up. The landscape is different. Now, as far as we know, PlayStation 4 controllers aren't necessarily going to work with PlayStation 5.
Right.
Excuse me. So that could be a thing. But there's also supposed to be a new VR headset that's coming after the launch of the PlayStation 5, based on what they're saying here.
Okay.
But I'm going to read a little bit of the article just to kind of give some context for what it is that they're talking about and where we are. So basically, according to Bloomberg, scarce components have pushed the manufacturing cost for Sony Corp's next PlayStation to around $450 per unit, forcing a difficult price-setting decision in its battle with Microsoft, according to people with knowledge on the matter. I don't really need to read any of that. But the PlayStation 4 released in 2013 at a retail price of $399 and was estimated by IHS Markit to cost $381 to manufacture. So with a 450 unit cost and a similar gross margin, the PlayStation 5's retail price would have to at least be $470, which nobody releases at $470. Like it'll be $500.
Yeah.
Or it's gonna be $450.
$500.
But it ain't gonna be
in the middle.
$470.
Yeah, that's just
that's dumb. That would be a hard sell to consumers, considering Sony's most expensive machine now is the $399 PS4 Pro, and it's often discounted. So the company's biggest headache is ensuring a reliable supply of DRAM and NAND flash memory, with both in high demand as smartphone makers gear up for 5th generation devices, according to people familiar with Sony's operations. Samsung Electronics just announced its Galaxy S20 product range, each variant of which will have 5G and a minimum of 12 gigs of RAM in the US. Video game companies often sell hardware at thin margins, which we already covered. So Sony's chief executive officer, Kenichiro Yoshida, has said the business should be judged by the number of active users, not the number of hardware units sold. Some Sony game staff think it should sell the new console at a loss if necessary to match Microsoft's price, while other Sony executives would prefer to make money as the company did with the PS4. I don't really need to go too much more into it, but in a nutshell, the components, the DRAM components and the NAND components are going to be more costly, possibly, because they're going to be harder to get based on, companies like Samsung saying, we're dropping these phones, we're going to have all these chips,
all for that.
putting all, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is a twofold problem for Sony.
Okay. Explain.
Well, not only does it mean that the chips are scarce, which could cause an issue with production of units and being able to get enough units out. Because you also have to be able to figure out how many units you're going to make and ship to what parts of the country. Yeah. And while you have announced that there is a PlayStation 5 and that it's coming, they haven't announced where it's releasing and when. And if you remember, the PlayStation 4 released in the US prior to releasing in Japan, which was like unheard of, right? But was probably a necessary move for Sony so that they could make sure that their box hit US shores around the same time, if not right before. I can't remember which one came out first. They were only a week apart when Xbox One and PlayStation 4 came out. They were only
I remember that. Yeah. Pretty sure PlayStation dropped first.
I think PlayStation was first and Xbox was the next week.
Cause I'm pretty sure it was, because I ended up getting my PS3. I ended up getting the PS before the Xbox because I couldn't get it because of the hard drive space. They had the two models.
Who had two models?
Xbox. Or was the Kinect in the box?
The Kinect was in every box though when it
first came out. Oh, that was the only option.
When it first came out, the only option was Kinect. That's why they were claiming you had to pay $500 because you were getting a Kinect in the box.
That's what it was.
November 5th, 2013 was PlayStation.
Yeah, the other one was a week later for sure.
It's like the 13th or something.
Because they both came out in November, so a week before that would have been October. So, but why are you looking at that?
November 23rd.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So now, the other thing about that is, Microsoft also just announced a deal with Samsung.
They did.
So Samsung's putting out phones that are eating up the chips that Sony needs for their systems. And Microsoft announced a deal with Samsung when Samsung announced said phones to put their software on all the new Samsung phones.
Interesting.
I'm just saying, that's a double smack, right? Because
you need to get the chips from Samsung. Samsung's working with Microsoft. Who do you think the priority is going to be for?
I'm just saying,
Samsung and Microsoft.
Yeah, I mean, they have a deal together, right? And that's understandable to an extent. And as the streaming wars heat up, and as Microsoft again is throwing it out in the wind, like, yeah, Sony's not really our competition anymore. Nintendo's not really our competition anymore. We worried about Amazon and Google. And Stadia is struggling, but it's still, you know what I'm saying, in the ear. Like they just announced that they're adding phone support for phones other than the Google phones, right? So so now, and Microsoft just announced, all right, we're gonna let iPhones jump in or whatever. But they already across all types of other Androids. You know what I mean? And then you announce a deal with Samsung. The idea that you have a box that hits, you have a service that allows people to play on phones that already exist and better on phones that are coming, that are also using the RAM that's necessary for your competition, which Microsoft, I'm positive, is going to need some RAM. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean, or whatever. But like, Sony in that article, they also announced that they are stopping shipments or not putting out this mirrorless camera that they've been talking about for a very long time. People have been very excited about, and they're like, nope, we can't do it because we need the RAM that will be in those to put in these PlayStations.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? And that hurts Sony as a company. Not just we're not just talking about PlayStation now. We're talking about Sony. That's
crazy.
It is.
That's crazy.
It is. It's a little bit scary. Because there's so much that can happen behind the scenes that most people won't ever, like most gamers aren't looking at or thinking about Bloomberg.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're not looking at, and that is, this is all still on top of what kind of effect the coronavirus might have on production of units, because most of the units are built in China. Yeah. And so we already know that there's a possibility of a slowdown from there, which makes me think that whole Coral that whole Coral Switch Lite could be an issue too. So we don't know how it's going to impact the total number of units they can get out here, what availability is going to be like, how long it'll take to get them once stores run out.
Right.
I believe that it will mean that pre-orders are going to be bananas.
This will be the one you gotta pre-order.
The second they go up.
Don't think you're gonna walk in and just.
Because just like you said, like if you don't catch something from this first batch, who knows when the next one? Yeah, who knows gonna be when the next one comes in?
And the first batch might be tainted.
It very much so.
Hey,
we're gonna find out.
Hand sanitizer.
Yes,
we're gonna find out.
I'm playing my.
Spray mine with Lysol so we go in the box.
Yeah.
You may not want to do that.
You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. don't do that though.
Nah, I'm gonna spray my joint with Lysol. What are you talking about? Lysol wipes.
Yeah, wipes. Okay, yeah.
Wipes on.
Wipes
off.
You gonna spray your joint and make that joint fire off before you even plug it up.
That'd be good.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know what I mean? And the business aspect of all of this kind of stuff is always super intriguing to me because I think a lot of times people get caught up in the console war thing and who's got better games and who has whatever. And that's all business too.
Yep.
But there's so much more that's going on at any given time. And something like this is the kind of thing that you can't necessarily see coming. Right? Like Sony's not talking to Samsung about what Samsung's doing with chips.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, why would you be? Like, sure, I'm sure somewhere in the back of your mind, like, yeah, we know a new phone's gonna come out. New phones come out every year.
Every year.
You know what I'm saying? So somewhere in the back of your mind, you're thinking like, oh yeah, well, you know, we're gonna need chips, but
don't worry.
it'll be you know what I'm saying? Yeah, like that, like just you know what I mean? Like you just don't think about stuff like that, and that's
real.
It's important.
It's a real thing.
It's very important.
It's a real thing.
Actually, been very interesting.
And it could have a huge effect on the landscape because let's just imagine that to some extent the playing field is relatively even in terms of like third party and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like first party, we kind of know what's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of third party, let's just say that things are relatively even. If for some reason Sony's not able to get as many units out, and for whatever reason Microsoft is, and that gives them some advantage. Now, here's the thing about that. Just because you can't get your hands on a PlayStation 5, right? You're stuck waiting, or it's not time yet, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening right now is Microsoft is positioning themselves to sell you consoles that already exist.
Yep.
Well, I have a PS4. I have a PS4 Pro. Xbox One X is more powerful than PS4 Pro. All these other new games that are coming out, third-party joints, are going to look better on that than they look on my PS4 Pro. Xbox One X is cheaper than a Series X, cheaper than a PlayStation 5. I can jump on that. I might even jump on an S with Game Pass and just jump in and mess around or whatever while I'm waiting.
For that Series
but
X.
if they get you in that ecosystem,
you in there.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because Microsoft is saying, hey, listen, for the next year to 2 years, there's not going to be anything that is exclusive to One X. Everything that we announce is going to be able to work on
the Series X,
multiple, right? Series
and then
Series
to add on to that, as crossplay becomes more of a thing, people can go out and get an Xbox and still play with their PlayStation.
Yeah,
Facts.
they just announced cross save for Witcher on Switch with PC.
Ooh,
Yep.
Ooh.
Yep.
And it's like, that's crack. You know what I mean? Like, that makes such a difference in whether or not it's even worth it to bother playing on the Switch and looking at the visual on the Switch. If you can pick up your save game from your PC, play while you're on the go, and bring it back, and listen,
good.
At some point, chances are, it hits consoles too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If that happens,
that's a good move.
especially again if cross-play is a thing.
Yes.
If your friends are on PlayStation 4, but you can still play with them playing Destiny or Grand Theft or Rainbow Six or Overwatch or whatever, and you pick up an Xbox and it looks better, whatever, even if it's not the Series X, It's the 1X. It's the S. You know, whatever. You just want the S for the 4K Blu-ray player.
Boom.
You know what I'm saying, or whatever. Okay, cool. You didn't pick up the sad edition. You picked up the joint with the player in it.
Yeah.
But then you get the little Game Pass joint. You start looking at all the little. You know what I mean? Like, it's just there's some things happening.
It is. It is. It's all very interesting.
Super to the duper interesting.
It is. It's a lot more to look at. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, than just like
grander scheme.
Just like console sales and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, looking at the whole, step outside that box and see what's really going on. Look at the whole picture.
Yeah, I mean, look, Sony could come out and be like, they could come out tomorrow and just be like, Horizon 1 Dawn. I don't know, whatever they're going to call the next joint, right? Horizon 0 Dawn 2, PlayStation 5 exclusive, day one, boom. But you got to be able to have consoles to sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So people can get excited. They might even pre-order. But you might pre-order and still be waiting.
That's cool, but what's up with these consoles?
So many copies of the game.
Is it still coming out
most
this
people
year?
not thinking about that or ain't even going to know because they're not reading Bloom. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, they could turn around tomorrow after having said, yeah, we're not coming to PAX, coronavirus, whatever, and just be like, oh, by the way, day one. They don't even have a date for the PS5. Day one.
Whenever.
Horizon Zero Dawn and 2 and God of War 2.
Pre-orders available now. Yep, exactly.
So
add it to your collection. Just let it sit there until you get your
You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. Like, that's a real thing. That is a thing that Sony has that Microsoft doesn't have. Because the most Microsoft could do is say Halo Infinite, which we already know is coming and we already know it's day one.
Day one, yep.
But you don't have to have a Series X to do it.
No, you don't.
But if you want to play, and you had a 360, and you like Halo, or you played Halo, and Master Chief Collection didn't do it, or you never got Master Chief Collection because you don't play PC, and you picked up a PS4 instead, but you want to play Halo Infinite, so you pick up a 1S or 1X. In the meantime, if you pick up a 1X, you don't even have to buy Halo Infinite.
No.
You just give them $1 and get Game Pass for 3 months or whatever it is, and play that.
Got it.
Good. The whole game.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, there's some things a brewing.
No, that whole combination, what they're doing here with Game Pass and the different tiers of consoles, like picks the box that works for you. Come on in and rock. Simple as that. Comes with a joystick. You don't need to go buy games. Game Pass, like you said, for $1. Just jump in the world and enjoy. It's some brilliance to it. It is.
You think we'll see a price drop on controllers? Because they're the old version of the controller, so like regular current Xbox One controllers. Because when the Series X comes out, the new controller has the share button on it and it's a little bit different or whatever. So they put those out. I imagine they'll put those out and they'll be at the same price point.
The normal price point of what they are now.
The current controllers. So I think the current controllers drop in price, which also possibly means that the custom controllers, you could do the older ones for less. Possibly still be able to do custom versions of the new joint.
Possibly, okay.
Because I don't think they're going to do custom elites. They do custom elites.
It's a wrap.
Like a Christmas gift. It's a wrap.
That's day one. I'm on that. Nope. Purple joint. Let's go. Let's go.
But I imagine, there'll be a price drop on that. They're still making money on them. But you just buy one of those. It works fine with the new system.
You just don't have to do share. You just hit your home button and
you understand
you'll do it from there, It's not just sitting on the controller now, and then just phase them out that way, drop the price a little bit. And
but also you want to be able to move them so people can use them on their phones.
True.
Yes.
You think
Samsung bundles?
Yeah, I was getting ready to say. You think you're not going to see Xbox controllers in T-Mobile stores, Sprint stores, or whatever when the S20s drop?
Yes.
That package.
Yes.
Get the phone.
Yes.
Get the little.
Like we talked about them putting xCloud and all that stuff, Game Pass on the Samsung TVs and package deals. Hey, get the TV, get the Xbox controller. Boom. You good. You good.
Say no more.
Say less.
There's a lot happening, y'all.
It is.
We got to keep paying attention to all the little tidbits and news, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
All the little tidbits and news.
Like we've been saying, this is gonna be a great 2020 for gaming.
Yep.
At least one to remember.
It's gonna be interesting.
At least one to remember.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, it already shaping up that way.
Yeah.
And we're in February.
Yeah.
March about to be disgusting too. There's some stuff dropping. It's, stuff got pushed back and now it's all getting ready to come.
Wait for March 31st when Persona 5 Royal come out.
Okay.
Need that in my life.
Cool.
Need
that in my life.
Okay. We're making some changes to that. It's gonna be all right. Listen. Y'all let us know what y'all think about what we talked about in the comments. Please. What's going on with PlayStation? Do you think that the Samsung RAM issue is going to be a thing for them? Not that it's Samsung RAM, but the DRAM is going to be an issue, or the NAND is going to be an issue for them. What do you think they're going to do? Do you think they're going to wait for Microsoft to announce their price first before they drop? You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Y'all let us know what y'all think. We appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you're following us across all social media, just at Loading Snacks. And if you're not already a patron of ours, you can shoot over to patreon.com/Loading Snacks and become a patron. We have some exclusive stuff that happens there that doesn't happen anywhere else.
Yes.
Yep.
So, with that said, it's time to wrap it up. We're going to get out of here.
All right.
We're out. Toodles and loos. What it do, snackers and snackettes? Did you like what you just saw? Would you like to help us grow? Here's what you can do. Shoot over to patreon.com/Loading Snacks. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on your favorite platform of choice. Appreciate you.